What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Zach here, and today will be part 2 of my chicken dish video. Last video, if you missed it, the link will be in the description, but I used the breast of a whole chicken, seared it, made a nice plating. Please go ahead and watch that video if you missed it, because if you did miss it, this is where I'm getting the legs from. Alright? And today, what we're doing is we're going to stuff chicken legs today. I'm going to debone the chicken legs. We're going to stuff them. We're going to sous vide them. I got my sous vide machine out. Appreciate it. Thanks out to my my chef. He let me borrow his today. So what we're going to do is we're going to stuff them, and then we're going to roll them, basically. And then we're going to slow cook them at 165 for probably about an hour. And then we're going to let them cool. And then we're going to sear them, bring them back up to temp, and then we're just going to slice them and plate them really nice. Basically, this is going to be a 2-day process. So I'm recording this video on day 1, where I'm just going to prep everything, cook it, and then day 2 will be when I cook it and put it on a nice plate, real nice for you guys, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is not going to be a full dish. This is just going to be basically a hot app. You know, if you were to do a hot app in a restaurant, you know, it's just going to be basically 1 or 2 components, not a full, complete, composed dish. If you like what you see, please feel free to hit that like button, slice that subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a comment if you need me to do anything else, answer any of your questions about what I do if I do not explain it thoroughly for you, because I do tend to talk as if people know exactly what I'm doing. So go ahead and do that and enjoy the rest of the video. Today the knife I'll be using is Old Hickory. Quick story about Old Hickory is my grandmother gave me this knife. She found out that I was in the need for a new knife, and she said, "I got you a knife, baby." And she sent me a knife in the mail. Did not know you can send knives in the mail until I got it. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to remove the bone from the chicken, and you want to make sure that you do not puncture the skin, because this skin is going to be the presentation basically. It's going to hold everything together, at least in theory. That is what it should do. And now my sous vide machine is at 73.3 degrees Celsius, which is exactly where I want it to be at. Just under 165 degrees. Since it's going to be under 165 degrees, that is where it's going to cook, and that is where it's going to stay, so that it doesn't dry out, so that it stays juicy. And basically what's going to happen is that as it cooks, it's going to cook through thoroughly, so you don't have to worry about the chicken not being done all the way. And then the carryover will take it past 165, which is in a safe food handler's range for consuming chicken, basically. And that is all that we are looking for. So what you want to do is you want to cut along the edges of the bone on each side without going real deep, and that way you can get under the bone like this. And once you are under the bone, make sure I don't go through the skin. Make sure once you're under the bone, you can then slide it through, cutting the rest of it. This tendon here, you definitely do not want that in the finished product. So basically, the bone is basically almost out. Now I just got to get it around the knuckle without tearing a hole in it, and that's the hard part. So what we're gonna do, a little trick to do that is to basically scrape down the bone. And if we scrape down the bone, we don't create holes in our chicken leg, because then if we put holes in our chicken leg, then the basically whatever we stuff it with, whatever you decide to stuff it with, will come out. I'm gonna stuff it with the same stuffing that I made in the first video. So like I said, if you missed that first video, please make sure you hit that link so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, now once you're at this point, right, the bone is out. Make sure you save your bone for your stock, because You know, you don't want to buy the stock at the store that's been sitting out at room temperature for I don't know how long. Stuff is supposed to go bad. You do not want to buy the stock that is in the box that is on the shelf. You don't want to do that. You want to make your own stock. That way it spoils basically, because everybody knows that stuff from the store that you buy on the shelf nowadays, it doesn't spoil. So we're just gonna try to take out any excess bones or cartilage or anything that we see or feel that is hard. I want to take this out. Some stuff you can just rip out with your hands, but please just make sure that you do not puncture the skin. Definitely don't want to do that. So we're going to take that out, and then we're going to clean it up. Now, what I'm going to do after this, you kind of want to pound it really thin, as thin as possible. Again, without ripping the skin. I cannot stress how much you don't want to rip that skin. So for now, what I'm going to do until I pound mine out is I am just going to make small little cuts in it, and then that'll loosen up the skin. As you see now, it's really starting to spread out. It'll loosen up the meat and the muscles and the fibers and everything like that, so that it become pliable, so that when I do decide to pound it out, it shouldn't have to take that much, and I won't risk puncturing the skin by pounding it out flat. Alright, what a lot of people do is that they try to they'll take the skin completely off, and then they'll stuff it, and then they'll roll it. So that basically that's what it's going to look like once it's stuffed and rolled. Clean the edges up a little bit, and then we'll put it in a sous vide machine. How big it actually is, right? And how much extra meat that we have left over from the skin. So what we're basically going to do is we're just going to clean this up a little bit so that the skin is kind of overlapping the meat, right? So that it can actually kind of seal it as it cooks. So we're just going to trim some of that off. That's basically all fat anyway. And this little piece here, right? And then this little piece. And then we should be okay. We got some extra stuff over here. Now, if you happen to make a mistake and put a hole in your chicken or anything like that, if you break down the full chicken like I did in my first video, link will be in the description, then you can actually use some of the back skin to try to fill in that hole. So we got a bunch of scraps here, and we're just gonna save that. Alright, and that's basically what you're left with. So now, hopefully, now we can roll it and stuff it. We'll stuff it, then roll it. Alright, that was safe. So I have some chive here. Hopefully I'm not in the shot. I got some chive we can put down there. Just cut that up. And let me grab a piece or two of thyme and just take the leaves off. Doesn't have to be pretty. You don't want that thyme stem in there, really, because it won't break down in the cooking process, and then it'll be like chewing on wood, basically. So that's that. Now we have herbs in there, and then I'm gonna take the stuffing that we made and I'm gonna stuff it. Now, we aren't going to salt, we aren't going to season this, only because the stuffing has seasoning in it as well. So you don't want to over season. That's a big mistake that people make. So basically now we are going to try to roll this. And so make sure that the skin is overlapping like that so that it can seal it. So we're basically going to do like sushi roll this, or taco or burrito roll it, however you want to describe it. That's basically how we're going to do it, just so that we can get a good enough seal. Now, yes, this is poking out, but when you do something like this, you're not going to get perfect pieces. So basically, you're going to have some waste. This will be waste. We're going to cut it here. The edge will be waste. And I also have one more piece that I have to do. And then, so you have two pieces. That way, when you put it together, ideally in a restaurant, you wouldn't serve anything like this. You can, but just know that there's just going to be a lot of waste. Food cost is going to be high. And, you know, just be prepared to do more work than what the dish actually is. But that is not a bad thing when it comes to trying to give somebody something that they expect but don't expect. Because on the menu you can say stuffed chicken thigh or chicken leg, and then, you know, people are not going to expect really what it's going to look like. So this is the first one. I got one more to do, and then we're going to bag it, throw it in the sous vide machine for about an hour, and then the next part of the video that you'll see after we cool these, once they're done, tomorrow, then I'll go ahead and slice it and try to plate it for you guys. In a perfect world, I would have some butcher's twine to really make sure that this sticks together, but we should be okay. Alright, so now we are completely done. As you see, I have stuffed both legs, and now they are ready for the sous vide machine. I labeled them 1 and 2 because the first one you guys see me do, I left the skin on the meat. And on the second one, number 2, I took the skin off the meat. Just a little bit different process so that you guys can see, okay, if you leave the skin on, this is what it looks like if there's any variation. And this one, if you take the skin off, this is what it looks like if there's any variation to that. So now we are going to put it in the sous vide machine, and then we're going to wait about 45 minutes to an hour. I say an hour, could be less, but let's just go for an hour. Alright? Alright, now as you can see, the sous vide machine is ready. It's at 73.5 degrees Celsius. That's close to 165 degrees. Now, if you do not have a sous vide machine, it is okay. Get you a trusty, dusty thermometer, use it on your range, and just gauge and try to just get it to where it's close to 165 as possible, because you do not want a rolling boil or anything like that. Otherwise, like if you do it in saran wrap instead of a plastic bag or something like that, you risk it to fall apart and basically disintegrate because of all the friction that's going on in there. So all we're going to do is we're just going to put them in now, and we are going to get as much air out of there as possible. This water really is 165 degrees. We want to get as much air out of there as possible because you want it to sink. You don't want it to float. So that's what we're doing now. And if you didn't know, you can just put it in the water and then push whatever you're using down in there, and then the air will come out and close. Just like that. And then that way, whatever you have in there will stay submerged and cook evenly. And then we're just going to clip these to the side because the water is circulating. And since the water is circulating, then you don't want basically, since I'm using Ziploc bags, I don't want the Ziploc bags to be under the water and then it become all waterlogged. So what's going to happen is that it's going to chill in there for an hour, and all the flavor from the stuffing is going to go all the way through the chicken, and it's just going to keep it's gonna keep all that flavor in, man. It's gonna be amazing. So that's that. And once these are done, we're just gonna take them out, put them on a sheet tray, put them in your cooler. Not your cooler. I'm used to talking at work. You're gonna put it in your fridge on the bottom shelf, away from anything else. Let them cool, and then we'll get to the second part of this video once that process is done. Alright YouTube, now we're on to day 2 of this process. We've taken our chicken out of the bags, we put them in our refrigerator, our reach-in, our cooler, and we've let them cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crisp up the skin so that they're not looking so anemic. Now as you can see, they're looking really pale. This is number 1 and this is number 2. So what we're going to do is I'm going to break out my trusty dusty non-stick pan, just because I just want to make sure that these do not stick to the pan and open up, and then all of our hard work is gone. So we're going to put a little oil in our non-stick pan, and we're going to try to get the closed side down first, just to kind of reinforce that seal. As you can see, it is sealed right now. And so let's go over to the range and put those in. Alright guys, that was quick and painless. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let it rest, and then we're going to trim it up. We're going to have just a tad bit of waste, but the way that these came out is going to be really nice. You're going to have a decent sized portion with both legs. And so now we're just going to plate it up real nice for you guys. So now that we've let these rest, you can tell that these are what's called GBD, golden brown and delicious. They're still closed, they're still intact. So now we're just going to trim a little off before we plate, and you know, let's see what we got, right? So we're just going to trim the edges like that. And I want to say the first one that I cut was number 1, and this one is number 2, right? So we're just going to square off those edges. As you can tell, it went all the way to the edge, the stuffing did, so that's a good sign. And even after we cut it, you know, they're still looking pretty good. So we're just gonna cut these into decent sized portions. Make sure you got a really sharp knife for this, because you don't want to tear it. You want to cut through it, but you don't want to tear it. Alright, so we got that. That one. And we got 4 pieces there. A couple of those, one of those is a little bigger than the other one, but that'll be alright. Alright, I'm gonna just do a small plating for you guys. Nothing crazy. So I have a little chicken stock reduction here. Just gonna put that down. There's nothing crazy with this plate. We're gonna take couple pieces, simple, right? We're gonna hit it with just a tad bit more sauce. And while I was letting these cool, I'm trying to figure out what else I'm gonna cook with this chicken, I was like, you know what? Just a simple little salad on the side. I put a little vinegar, oil, just a little salt, and as you can tell, I let it sit in the vinegar just a little too long, that the carrots were starting to bleed. This is just cabbage, herbs, and some carrots. But it tastes good, almost kind of like pickled cabbage in a way. So that's that. That's the plate. Nice and simple. You're not hiding the skin is still crispy. We're gonna clean this up a little bit. No fingerprints. And that is just how we're gonna do it, all right? Thanks to everybody that's supporting me right now, everybody that clicks on this video. Please feel free to continue to slice that subscription button, hit that like button, and also please leave a comment down there if you got any questions on anything that I have done, the process. If you just want to talk to your boy, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, put a comment down there. I'll answer my comments. But until then, remember, ain't nothing to it but to cook it.